Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Oh, this is so nice. People are already here. People are waiting. Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I was making a coffee and was like, oh my goodness, it's 10 o'clock. Let's go. Hello. If you are watching live, please do let me know in the comments where you're from. If you're watching on replay, let me know who you are, where you're from as well, and that you're watching on replay. This is the first... Oh, the hair's changed, by the way. You may have noticed. The hair has gone back bright pink. New year, new me, new hair. Morning, Mandy. Morning, Beck. Morning, Abigail. So this is the first workshop of 2026. For those who are new to the Anti-Burnout Club or who don't normally join or whatever, every single month we do a new free workshop on the app. We also have free courses, free resources. If you don't already have the app, let me know and I'll send you the link. And there's some links down in the description as well. I can't remember if I've linked the app. I will double check for the end. Hello, Emma. Hello. Oh, I'm glad you like the hair. It feels very weird to be bright again, especially in the new village that we live in, because where I used to live, pink hair was like, fine, whatever. Where I live now, everyone's like, oh, you have pink hair, and it's like a big deal. So it makes me feel a little bit self-conscious, but we'll get used to it. Oh, it's so nice to see so many of you here. Thank you so much. If you've just joined, let me know where you are joining us from, if you're watching on replay as well. I'm going to get started. This is very much get involved as much as you want to. Please do use the comment section. Share how you're feeling this new year, whether you've got resolutions. I've got some journal prompts for you to think of. If you've got pen and paper, then great. If not, I will be posting this replay in the app as well with the slides. So if you just want the journal prompts at the end, they will be available in the free app as well. So let's bring these slides up, shall we? New year, new me. My favorite topic. Now, if you joined the Anti-Burnout Club right at the beginning, January, I know Annette did, January 2021, the first blog post I ever put on the Anti-Burnout Club was called New Year, New Me, ? And it was all about how I didn't really like New Year's resolutions. And a lot has changed in the 5 years. By the way, happy 5th birthday to the Anti-Burnout Club. I've just realized in the 5 years that we've been doing this together. But there's a lot that I've learned about New Year's resolutions. There's a lot that I've learned about change and about habits and about how it feeds into our kind of self-worth and burnout and all that kind of stuff. So I want to share with you today what New Year, New Me actually means and what New Year's resolutions are all about, how we can make them work for us, if we definitely want to make them work, why they might not work for us, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be digging deep into New Year, into resolutions, and into change. Now, interestingly, actually, I was listening to the radio the other day, and they said 65% of people aren't doing New Year's resolutions on January the 1st because they find them old-fashioned. So first thing that I want to ask you guys is, are you doing a New Year's resolution this year? Have you chosen one from the 1st of January or 2nd of January or whatever, after everyone got over the New Year hangover and bed rotting that most people do on the 1st of January? Have you got a New Year's resolution? And if so, if you feel comfortable, please do let me know. Let us know in the comments what it is. Even if you're watching on replay, I'd be really, really interested to know if you've got one. Now, there's no secret that resolutions are a tricky one. So we all make these sort of plans for big changes on the 1st of January, and we'll write them all down in a fresh new journal. Guilty. And then it gets to Quitter's Day, which I think it's either the 19th of January or the 19th of February. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is a Quitter's Day, right? Where the majority of people have quit their New Year's resolutions. And we kind of get into this thing, don't we? Where we're like, right, new year, new start, fresh me. I'm going to make all these changes. And then life kind of happens, and within sort of a few weeks or maybe up to 6 weeks, we're like, oh, this just doesn't work for me anymore. And then we get really disappointed that we couldn't stick to our resolutions, right? So what I want to cover in the first part of this is actually why they don't stick. And then we'll look at what we can do instead to make sure that they do stick. So even if you're like, I don't really want to set resolutions this year, or, you know, maybe I just want some new habits, or I've got a goal in mind, or whatever it is, let's make sure that whatever that thing is you want to start, whether it's going to be from January or whether you're deciding, maybe like me, that you're going to start something new in spring, we'll get on to that, then this will help make it stick whenever you do it. So I'm just going to have a look through the comments, because loads of you have let me know whether you're doing resolutions, setting goals. Okay, January to research. Yes, Mandy, we spoke about this, didn't we? So Mandy's doing a really cool thing where she's using this time of year to research what works for her, maybe do some reflection on last year. I really love that. No resolutions for me, but definitely setting myself some goals and hopes. Nice. Naming them as hopes for 2026. Not me. No, a bingo card of adventures, personal challenges. Not doing New Year's resolutions, let's never keep them up. No resolution, but focus on some things. Okay, so some of you are saying, no, I'm not doing resolutions. Instead, I've got goals, I've got hopes, I've got wishes, I've got dreams, I've got adventures. So this will still help make those stick. I used to do New Year's resolutions, but could never do them all. Friend of mine set intentions, personal, professional health. They work better for me. Amazing. So we're all calling them different things this year. I'm really enjoying this. And this is probably what that poll was on the radio, where they said 65% of people aren't doing resolutions. Maybe it's because we're reframing them, which is fantastic. And that's a big part of the work that we need to do. So let's have a look at the problem with most resolutions, you know, like the traditional type of resolutions. The first thing is that we generally will use January to punish ourselves of all the sins that we committed in December, right? We ate loads of food, or we spent too much money, we went out too much, and whatever else. So when we tend to set resolutions, it's almost like a punishment to ourselves, of saying, you know, I've been so naughty, I've been such a bad person in December, I'm going to punish myself for that. And that's why we see a lot of you know, like restriction type goals. So I'm going to stop doing something instead of nourishing ourselves. Now, anyone that knows what I talk about will know that I find this time of year is actually the perfect time of year to nourish. And that's why actually I don't do any type of resolutions or anything like that until spring. But it's completely, you know, January is also still, the 1st of January is also still a good time for goals, because it does something in our brain. Like, we know it's a new year. So there's not necessarily, it's not a bad thing to set goals in January. I think we should just focus on them being more nourishing and looking after ourselves, as opposed to, I'm going to give up all carbs, all bread, all chocolate, everything I love. I'm going to hit the gym 6 times a week as a punishment for whatever I did in December or 2025 or whatever else. The other problem that we have is that new me, the whole concept of I'm going to be a new, better version of me, usually is this way of saying to ourselves, I wasn't good enough. Everything I wasn't good enough. So I need to make these changes in 2026 to be a good enough version of myself. Now, if we go into something with this real lack of self-belief, with this real you know, I'm not good enough and I have to make a lot of changes, this like self-criticism, if you like, change is not going to happen, because we're putting ourselves on our back foot. We're saying to ourselves, we don't believe in ourselves. We're saying, you know, I have no self-belief, I have no self-trust, therefore I need to be a better person. But you've already told yourself you don't trust yourself, that you're not good enough. So the change isn't going to happen, right? So that's why the kind of language, and I like that people are setting like goals and intentions and this slightly gentler language, as opposed to like this new year, new me resolution to be a better person, which basically says I'm not good enough. Number 3, and this is probably the trap that the majority of us fall into without even realizing it. And when I was setting some goals for 2026, I realized that I was doing a lot of this. We copy what looks good on other people instead of what fits us. So perhaps you have been scrolling through Instagram and you've seen people doing vision boards, or you've seen other people's goals to, you know, do X, Y, and Z. And you're like, oh, I like that. I'm going to take that for myself. There's not necessarily anything wrong with that. But if all of your goals and hopes and dreams for 2026 have been borrowed from other people, then again, they're not going to stick. And I'm going to talk about this in a bit more detail in part 2. And then number 4 is an interesting one, because there's this whole culture around discipline, right? And consistency and habits. And there are billions of books and there are billions of Instagram accounts that tell you how to be consistent, how to have habits. And a lot of it is around becoming uncomfortable, right? And we confuse discomfort with discipline. And I think that if you try too hard, particularly in January, to push yourself and fit into a mold, because society has told you need to be consistent, you need to have these habits, you cannot miss a day, otherwise you're a failure, that's not going to work either. That kind of ties in, that's why these ones are both in pink, with that everything I wasn't good enough. So we have to be really careful when we talk about habits, we talk about consistency, to not think that consistency is a be all and end all. And I remember having a conversation, I think it was with Mandy, who was saying about journaling every single day. Like, I can't journal every single day. I really struggle to get into the habit. And my question to you, I think I might come on to this question in a minute, but it doesn't matter. We'll do it now. My question to you, for you to think about throughout this, and while you're thinking about what you want to do for New Year, is how many things in your life do you actually do every day? How many habits, we're going to call them habits because they're not actually quite habits, do you do every single day? And most of the time, what you're going to come up with is automatic behaviors, not habits as such, not what society calls habits. You know, like going for a walk every day is not something automatic. Getting up and going to the toilet every morning is an automatic behavior. That's a habit, right? There are very few things that we do every single day consistently without fail. But come 1st of January, 2nd of January, we're like, I'm going to walk every single day. And then it gets to day 10 and it's too cold, it's too snowy, it's too icy. And you're like, oh, I've broken the habit. I'm useless. I'll try again in 2027, right? So you think about this as we're going through, particularly when it comes to discipline and consistency. Is there anything that anybody can actually stick at every single day without falling off the wagon? Because I don't think it exists. Okay. In fact, I've got it here. So the first set of questions to ask yourself, if you've got a pen and paper, great, you can do these right now. If not, I'm going to be posting these questions so you can come back to them. You can screenshot them if you're watching on your phone or whatever. I've also put some of my favorite journals in the caption down below if you're like, oh, I need a new journal, which we all need a new journal 1st of Jan. 4 questions to ask yourself on part 1. What are you hoping this new version of you will finally fix? And that is a big question, right? A good way of getting to the underneath of this question is to ask yourself why you want that goal, that resolution, that hope, that dream, whatever it is. So what's the goal? What is it that you're setting yourself for 2026? And then ask yourself the 5 whys. Why do I want that? Why? I'm going to lose count already. Why? So you're basically getting underneath the layer, and that will tell you what it is that you are hoping to fix from the situation. Now, I'm going to use one that's a bit of a contentious subject at the moment, but it is something that a lot of people talk about in January, is losing weight, right? Or let's say going to the gym. I want to go to the gym 5 days a week. That's fine. That's a great goal. If that's a goal that suits you, that fits you, then fine. So then you ask yourself, why? Why do I want to go to the gym 5 days a week? Because I want to get really fit and healthy. Cool. Okay. Why? Because I feel like I ate too much food in December and I'm feeling uncomfortable in my body and I'm feeling really overweight. Okay. Why? I don't fit into any of my clothes and I'd really like to get back into a size 12 that I was when I was like in my 20s. Why? Because there's a lot of people around me that have lost a lot of weight and I feel like I don't fit in. There's the why, right? So that getting under that layer will actually give you what the new version of you is hoping to fix, right? And it's not that I want to go to the gym 5 days a week. It's that I feel like everyone around me is getting smaller and I feel uncomfortable in a bigger body around those people, right? That's the thing that I want to fix. do these resolutions actually match who you want to be, or just who you think you should be? So this is where we're talking about borrowing those resolutions, those goals, those intentions, those hopes, those dreams, potentially from other people, right? And again, the next question is, whose life or routine could you secretly be trying to copy, and why? So we get fed a lot of stuff from Instagram, from Facebook. I know of quite a few of you actually have told me recently that you've deleted social media for 2026, which explains why I've lost so many followers. Thanks, guys. I thought it was just me. But there's this real overload of everybody else's hopes and goals and dreams, especially at this time of year. And it can be easy to pick up other people's goals, right? So ask yourself, do these goals, these hopes, these dreams, these resolutions actually match who I want to be or who I think I should be? And if we go back to that gym one that I did all the whys for, actually, am I going to the gym 5 days a week because that's who I want to be, as someone that goes to the gym 5 days a week? Or is it someone that I think I should be because everyone around me is getting smaller, right? And I know this is a contentious topic. It could be absolutely anything, it doesn't have to be about weight loss or anything like that, but it's just a really good example of how society has perhaps made me feel like that should be my goal, when actually my goal is that I just want to feel more confident in my own body, in my own skin. And for me, that means bright pink hair and feeling myself again. It doesn't necessarily mean going to the gym 5 days a week, because that's not what works for me. So whose life or routine could you secretly be trying to copy? Really think about perhaps people that you follow, people in like your home life, work. Is there anyone that you're secretly like, I wish that I lived their life? They seem to have everything together. And, is there anyone that subconsciously is making you feel like you need to be a better version of yourself? And I've already kind of covered this one in great detail, but can you name any of the things you already do every day? What makes those stick? Now, there's a really interesting topic on the difference between automatic behaviors, which is actually what habits are, the automatic things that we do every single day without thinking about them, and habits. And if you've read books like Atomic Habits, they kind of try and teach you how to make those things automatic behaviors. But there is a good chance that you're going to fall off the wagon at some point. So this question here is not to try and make you go, see, you can't stick at any habits. It's to give yourself permission, basically, to have a day off. If you're like, I want to set a new habit and I'm going to do this, but I've fallen off the wagon, that's okay. That is absolutely fine, because so do 99.9% of other people. There are very few things that are automatic behaviors that we're not ever going to fall off the wagon. So I'm going to come and see if there's any questions on part one. Jot these questions down. Like I said, screenshot them. But these are the reasons why we might struggle with resolutions or goals in January. And now we're going to move into how we can actually make things stick. I'm sorry that you've had the flu. So everybody, I know, has been poorly. I've just got over it. God, that coffee's really good. Okay, right. Anything that you want to share about part one, please let me know. I'm being circled by seagulls for some reason. Oh, that's quite terrifying. Okay, let's move on to part two. I need to make this bigger, which is why I can't see comments, so I'll come back for them in a minute. Maybe the answer isn't more discipline or a better plan. Maybe it's that we're trying to change from the wrong place. So a lot of the work, a lot of the research that I've been doing into habits and changes and all of that kind of stuff for myself has looked a lot at this next kind of section. And I think that we're very good at beating ourselves up when we're not disciplined enough, or we're not consistent enough, or maybe our plan wasn't good enough and we're going to use ChatGPT or whatever to make another plan, or whatever it is, or pay money for a plan, whatever. But maybe it's that we need to do some work in here before we start looking externally. So this is how we make change that lasts. And the first question you should always, always, always ask yourself is, who do I want to be? Who do I actually want to be? Do I want to be the gym bunny that goes to the gym 5 days a week? If so, that's great. That's an amazing goal for you. Or is that being picked up from somewhere else or someone else? who do I want to be should always be the first question that you ask yourself. And I have a full activity where I go inside and I'm like, okay, I wake up in the morning and this is what my room looks like, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what I have for breakfast, and this is what I do every day. And that to me has made more difference and more change in my life than any New Year's resolution. Just picturing a day in the life of Anti-Burnout Bex as she is in her, in her happiest self. So starting with who do I want to be should be the first question before any goals, any New Year's resolutions, any whatever's. Who do I want to be? That means that when you work your way through the year and you're working your way towards the goals, your question throughout this will be, who am I becoming? Not what am I achieving, right? So we're a very achievements focused society. We're like, oh, here's my goal. I'm going to make £1 million or whatever. And that's my achievement. But who are you actually becoming when you focus on that? Are you becoming the person that you said you wanted to be? Are you becoming the kind person with integrity who is changing the world that you said you wanted to be? Or are you money at all costs, right? If you can focus on who you're becoming, you will notice the changes sticking far better than if you just focus on what you're achieving. Because the change is based on your identity and not ticking certain goals off a list that then we move the goalpost and we go, actually, I want £2 million. I don't know why I'm using money. That's always at the bottom of my goals list. But, if anyone's got a goal that they want me to work through at the end of this, please let me know. But focusing on who that goal makes you become, who that identity is, who you want to be, will make the change stick far better than a tick list of achievements. Let go before you add more. Now, what I mean by this is generally letting go of not necessarily sort of like habits or anything like that, but letting go of expectations, letting go of things that you don't need anymore, that don't serve you. So that whole, I've been so bad in December, that kind of mindset of self-criticism, for example, that needs to go before you can make change. So thinking about, what do I need to let go of before I can actually make any change? And there will be things, even if you think, I feel well-rounded, I've come into January, I feel good, I've set some goals. But actually, as we go through this and you think about identity, so here's something that's quite difficult, quite vulnerable for me. But I'm going to talk about it, and it might be cringe. You might think I'm cringe, and maybe that's a big point of it. So for me in 2026, one of my big goals is to have 100,000 Instagram followers. And you might be like, oh, that's so gross, or it's so cringe, or it's vain, or whatever. Now, for me, I've had to let go of that whole feeling of it's cringe, it's gross, it's weird, it's vain, because I know that my identity is someone who is going to make a big impact on a lot of people, and that's really important to me. The person that I want to be makes a big impact to 1 million people. It's on my Instagram bio, it's everywhere. It's, I want to change 1 million lives. I cannot change 1 million lives by not reaching 1 million people, right? And so that means that I have to set a goal of getting more followers and reaching more people. But there's this part of me that thinks the word influencer, for example, is gross and cringy and I've had to let go of that word and that feeling around that word to be able to move forward and make an impact, right? So there's always going to be something in the back of our minds that goes, you can't do that, or that's weird, or that's cringy, or that's gross, or people are going to judge you for that, or whatever else. That needs to go before you can become the person that you want to become, before you can become that identity that you started with. Who do I want to be? I want to be the person that changes 1 million lives for the better. In order to do that, part of it is going to be getting more followers on Instagram and maybe being called a word that I don't like an influencer or a content creator or whatever. I have to let go of the negative connotations that word comes with, right? So that's an example. I've only told one person that about the whole weirdness that I feel about it and what my goal is. So now I've told all of you as well. But you can see how that can hold you back if there's something that you need to let go of before you add more. And finally, if your plan only works on your best day, I'm sorry, but it is not a good plan. And this is where 99% of us fall short, right? We will say that we will do X, Y, and Z. And while we're feeling motivated, because it's the beginning of a year, because it's New Year energy, even if you're like, oh, I'm not doing resolutions, there is an energy around this time of year where people do feel more motivated because it is a big turning point, the 1st of January and New Year. It's a turning point in our brains. So we do feel naturally motivated. We do buy journals. We do all of that kind of stuff. While we have that motivation, your plan is going to feel quite easy, right? You're going to be like, yeah, I've got this. I've been filming loads of content for my plan of reaching 1 million people, whatever. There is going to be a day that's not your best day, and then it is going to fall apart. So we always talk about this at the Anti-Burnout Club, but to have something called Plan B, Plan Bare Minimum, is how to make change that lasts. So let's say your goal is you want to walk 10,000 steps every day. You've set this goal because you've done the identity work and you want to be the kind of person that walks 10,000 steps every day. You want to be someone that's outside a lot or whatever. When the sun is shining, it's a bit frosty outside, but the sun's shining, you can wrap up warm. It's really nice today. It's easy to get 10,000 steps. It's easy to get 10,000 steps on a sunny day when you're feeling good and you're feeling naturally motivated. Now, let's say it's the middle of February, it's dark, it's raining, there's more snow, it's slippy, and you look outside and the motivation that you had at the beginning of the year is like, it's gone. And you're just saying, I knew I couldn't do it. I knew I'd never make this last. I knew I couldn't stick at it. And what happens? Gone, right? This is why the plan has to have a plan bare minimum. And your plan bare minimum could be, I walk 5,000 steps, or I do, like a walking workout thing on YouTube inside, wrapped up warm when it's rubbish. We have to expect that there are going to be bad days. There are going to be worse days. What tends to happen is if we fall off the wagon, even though I've told you that very few things ever do stick as habits, like as automatic behaviors, we get hard on ourselves and then the plan falls apart. So as you're thinking through your goals, your hopes, your wishes, your intentions, your resolutions, whatever it is for 2026, please put together a plan bare minimum. Put together 3 plan bare minimums. Put together 10 plan Bs. It doesn't matter. Just to remind yourself that you're not going to be 100% all of the time. And that is absolutely okay. That's normal, right? We're not robots. What we do need to do is make sure that we're kind to ourselves, that we have a plan B. I remember doing a festival once and I was talking about, someone said, oh, my plan is I want to get healthy and I want to walk and I want to eat good food and that kind of stuff. And she was like, I don't know what my plan B would be. And I said, just make it that you walk to the shop to buy a chocolate bar. And she was like, I actually really like that. Normally I would drive to the shop, I would buy a load of chocolate and I'd come back. But actually my plan B is going to be that I walk to the shop to buy that chocolate bar and then I feel a little bit better, right? So whatever your plan bare minimum is, get them down on paper so that you've always got that reminder. Okay, so we're going to end with some questions. If you have a pen and paper, then you can do these now. If you've got any questions about what we've covered, please put them in the comments now because we've got just a few more minutes left where we're going to go through these questions and then we're going to wrap up. So now is a good time. If there's anything or if you want to work through a specific goal or anything like that, please pop it in the comments now. So let's ask ourselves these questions. And again, you can screenshot this. I'm going to put it on the app. You can come back to it. Sunday is my favorite day for journaling because I like starting a Monday feeling like I've got all of that out of my head. So actually it's worked out quite nicely that we move this to Sunday. So question number 1, Where in my life am I already enough, even if I feel it doesn't look impressive to others? So if you were to take away everybody else's judgment about what you're doing and who you are, where are you quietly proud of yourself, right? Where are you like, I've got this together. I'm feeling pretty good. I've actually been pretty good at keeping on top of my house over Christmas. And you'd look at it and you'd be like, really? But for me, I'm doing pretty well. And it's not impressive to anyone else. It just makes me feel calmer, and I'm proud of myself for doing it. When or where do I feel most like myself without trying to improve or perform? So interestingly, despite the fact that this is me speaking to you and probably could be seen as a performance of such, this is where I feel most like myself. Coming and talking to you guys is what I want to do loads more of this year. It's why I've decided on some of my goals for 2026 is to be more with you guys than anything else. I don't want to get trapped in the weeds or anything like that. So when or where do you feel most like yourself? What expectations am I ready to loosen my grip on, and how can I let go of these? So this goes back to the letting go before we move forward. What can we let go of? What expectations that other people have of us and that society might have of us? I've spoken a lot about, like weight and stuff like this. Like for me, I've really struggled in the last year because I've got bigger and my body feels bigger. And I needed to let go of the expectations of other people's expectations of my body and do whatever made me feel happy. So how can I let go of those expectations? And then what kind of support would actually help me stay consistent? So again, I probably shouldn't have used the word consistent because I don't like it so much, but what will keep me most on track? Is it to have an accountability buddy? I know a lot of you love accountability buddies in the Anti-Burnout Club. Is it journaling? Is it to go back to these questions? Is it more positive self-talk? I would love to hear what kind of support you guys want so that I can build that into the app. I can build that into future workshops. If you're like, I want more accountability, we can set up accountability groups. If you want more journaling prompts like these, we can do that. If it's that you want me to come and do a video on positive self-talk, whatever it is, let me know what kind of support would actually support you throughout the year to feel good about your goals, about your hopes, about your dreams, your resolutions, or whatever you're calling them. Last thing to finish on is a little thought. You don't need to become somebody else to change. You just need to let go of who you think you're meant to be. And I really want that to like just marinate with you for the rest of today. Screenshot it, save it as a background. Really, really think about what change means and how you can let go of who you think you're meant to be. If you're doing Be Her with me, which starts tomorrow, that is what all of this is about. We're doing like a little 90-day group, like a small group thing that starts tomorrow, which is really about unbecoming all of the identities that we're told we should be and becoming the person that we really want to be and how that can change us. I have put a link in the bio. If you're on the app, it's on courses. It is a little 90-day, just small group thing. And we've got loads more free stuff coming on the app. We've got a whole new series called Big Scary Tasks coming in the next few weeks, where I'm going to be your accountability buddy for things that you put off. We've got new courses coming out. We've got rehashed courses coming out. We've got loads of stuff. So if you're on the app already, you'll see it all coming up there. If not, follow me on Instagram or Facebook or email or whatever else. And you'll see all of those bits coming up as well. But thank you so much for joining me today. This has been so nice to just sit with you guys and chat and talk about your goals and your hopes and your dreams and everything for 2026. I am going to be your biggest cheerleader. Please do come and ask me what you want. Ruth has said positive self-talk. I will 100% do a positive self-talk workshop. In fact, we'll do that in February because it's all about Valentine's and self-love. So let's do some positive self-talk, self-love type stuff in February. And yeah, any questions, anything that you feel like I haven't covered, please do let me know. And that's it. I'm going to leave you to get journaling, get writing, and I will see you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.